Welcome to the Lemons and Pineapples podcast. I'm your host, Emma O'Brien, personal development coach, heart math practitioner, dog photographer, and entrepreneur. In this podcast, I share tools, strategies, and amazing guest interviews to help you improve your mindset and your well-being with a sprinkle of fun and probably some mention of dogs along the way. So without further ado, let's squeeze the day. Hi folks, welcome to episode 61 of the podcast. Today my guest is Jackie Senatore, and we're talking about how to use emotional pain as a guide to improve your life. First, a bit about Jackie. As an abundance and mindset coach, Jackie is your guide to unlocking your inner potential and achieving holistic well-being. With over a decade of expertise in personal development and energy healing, she empowers individuals to overcome challenges, heal emotional, mental, or physical pain, and manifest abundance in every aspect of their lives. Welcome to the podcast, Jackie.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful intro. It's like, yes, that's what I do.
I love it. Today, our topic is emotional pain. I think most people can relate to going through that at some point in life. But in the midst of an emotional crisis, so whether that's a breakup or a bereavement or a job loss, I think it's very easy for people to get stuck in that pain because it's just massively, massively overpowering. So you're an energy healer, and I'm curious to know that how someone can start to use that emotional pain as a guide to make life better.
Yes, that's a great question. And the first thing I'll start with is that we all go through these emotional pain, challenges, events in life that come in. And to answer the question, it's judgment that first gets us stuck in it because we think that they're not supposed to happen. And a lot of people in the culture think that we're supposed to be living these positive lives and only be positive. And then when something bad happens, it's happening to me and it was negative. When we grow from these challenges, we become from these challenges. So a lot of times we will ask to step up in our leadership. We'll ask to step up in life. I want to become a mom. I want to become a boss. I want to become a coach, whatever it is. And then life's like, okay, we're going to bring you this challenge to help you become that coach. I'm a coach sitting here because I've been through a whole bunch of stuff that now I can serve people at a really high level. And so the first way that if anyone listening to this is experiencing life's challenge in whatever way that would be, an accident, a divorce, a whatever health challenge, the first thing to do is to change the judgment on that it's wrong. Because as soon as we judge something, our energy stops. And then we get stuck and we can't see the truth because we're stopping at, this has happened to me and it's bad. So if we just shift that for a quick second of, okay, this is happening to me. It feels terrible. I will acknowledge that. What is this for? Then we open a door and a whole world opens up for us of answering that question. Okay, you want to see what this is for? I'm going to start to show you. And so that's when at least the emotional pain that you speak of, at least it gets to start to move.
Yes. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is often people get very stuck in that space of this isn't fair. I didn't want this. Because I think as it's a very human trait to be very change resistant because we like what we know. And one of the things I do a lot of work with is getting people out of a comfort zone. And often we don't want to be in a comfort zone. So if we take the example of a marriage that's not great, but the prospect of getting divorced is going to throw up a whole load of things. So do we sit and stay where it's comfortable? It's not great, but we know it. Or do we be really brave and go out and make a change, which is going to cause emotional pain? And I think often we keep ourselves stuck, don't we? Because we're avoiding that emotional pain.
It's so well said. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, you can't grow from comfort. Nothing good comes from comfort. Look at everybody in our life that's ever done anything extraordinary or even living their purpose. It didn't come from a time that they were comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm with you. There's sometimes I'm like, life, just give me a week of, sometimes you're in that cycle of transformation where it's growth after growth after growth. And something like a divorce, when you're getting those whispers that your job or your relationship or something has to change. And the beautiful part about our soul, I think, is that when we ignore them, the pain gets stronger. and the suffering gets stronger. So I think we're all eventually going to get there. It's just, that's what I help people do, is close the gap of time of suffering, of get the message sooner, because maybe it's our perception that divorce has to be awful. There's some people that get divorced and sign a paper for $40, and God bless those people, and they transform through it quicker. Yeah. But there's some of us that, go through a really long process, but it's who we're becoming in our pain. That is life. It's just, how can we know that's happening so we don't suffer so much? It's like working out. This is painful, but it's getting me a good body. Same thing with life.
Yeah, and I think that there has to be an element of acceptance when things don't go according to plan. My take on it is that people often get very stuck in being unhappy because they kick against what is, as opposed to going, all right, life is kind of falling apart right now. Let me just take stock and sit with that. I think we avoid the pain because the difficult emotions are physically very uncomfortable, I think. And I think that's, I don't know what your take on it is I think that's often what we avoid, is that physical discomfort of, I'm going to feel really sad. And if you can reframe it and look at it as it's just a feeling, and if you sit with it, it'll pass, I think it makes it a bit easier. But that is easier said than done.
It is. And that's exactly the whole process of repetition that I work with people on. That's exactly it. And myself included. It's still not fun to sit with fear. It's still not fun to sit with, I'm angry, but it's the avoidance and the resistance of feeling it that makes it so big. So when we're falling apart in life and everything, we fall apart. We want things to fall apart. Even I tell people with their business, when they want to go to the next level of making money, it's the current thing has to fall apart for the new thing to emerge. And it looks messy, and we all know that, but it's how quickly we can get through that is how present we are of making it important. So if we know we're triggered, and we call it kind of triggered, when we get this strong emotion, the degree in which how high it goes or how big it feels is to the degree of our resistance of it. Because if we're just, I'm sad, where is that in my body? And we stay with it or behind it, or have a methodology of yoga or whatever it is that people use to go for a run, work out, but they're present with it. That energy, emotions are just energy. It moves right through you. You'll get really hot, sweaty. You might cry. There has to be a discharge. It's when and we all are guilty of this, or I'll say I'm guilty of this sometimes, of, I don't want to feel this angry. It's scary. I'm so mad right now that I have to distract myself, because if I feel it, it makes me afraid to feel that level of anger. But when you do it again and again and again, and you're like, it's just anger, it can't hurt me, I'm just going to stay with it until my body gets really warm, and then just keep following where you feel it in your body until it finds its way out, you feel tremendous after. And then the wisdom comes in of what to do, of what this is really here for. But I find that wisdom doesn't come through when we're in avoidance of feeling or running. And our culture is set up to support running. Here, eat this, do this. Just don't feel anything, anybody. Yeah. Because we're so scared of people growing, of people seeing the truth.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because we're also in a society where it's very easy to medicate feelings away. And I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday. She's just had a breakup, and she's very burnt out and overwhelmed in her business, and she's on a course of antidepressants. And I said, that's great, but what I think you need is a rest and some time to sit and process what has happened. And often we don't give ourselves that, and then we just hold on to it and store it. So the next time we feel sad, we rake up all of the sad feelings from the last 10 years if they've not been processed through. But we're not taught to do that. I don't think it isn't taught at school, unless you have a very well-rounded parent who's done a lot of personal development work. I don't think children are taught effectively how to deal with feelings, and that continues into adulthood.
I have kids, and one of them always gets so shocked, the look on his face when he's upset. And I say, be upset. Most people say, don't be sad, don't be angry, be angry. That sucked. That kid did that. Just stay with it. Where do you feel it? get behind it. And he's like, oh, mommy, stop. And he'll move through it so much quicker because it's
Yeah.
permission to feel what you feel.
Yes.
There was so many great things that you said in that. And that's exactly what I think we're elevating our culture. More people are hungry for it, especially since COVID and all the things when we were all left with such big things happening. And so many people didn't have strategies of how do I deal with everything falling apart? And that's the gift, I think, some of us that go through hard periods in our life is that it makes us realize medication is an option and it's there in
Yes.
emergencies and it's there if you need it. And I get the benefit of it. There are.
Yes.
But it also stops what you said, the process of feeling it. If you're shutting off, it's like a smoke alarm in the kitchen of the alarms going off because there's a fire somewhere. But the medication is going to take out the batteries or silence it so you can't hear it.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the fire. And then what you said is perfect. Life will give you another thing that then triggers that old fire and triggers a new one and makes it even bigger until you take a look at it, until you realize, hey, there's a pattern in my life that I keep repeating. Maybe I should stop and pay attention to it.
Yes. And I think again, it takes great courage to be able to do that. And it takes a degree of self-awareness to say, hang on a minute, all of these things keep happening in a similar way, and the common denominator appears to be me. I'll use a great example of myself when I was doing online dating, and I went on a whole heap of rubbish. Let's call them interesting rubbish.
Interesting opportunities.
Interesting. I went on a whole load of interesting opportunities, and I was going out and I kind of dated a few guys, and they were all a bit emotionally unavailable, and I just thought, I appear to be attracting a whole load of assholes in a row here. And then the kind of light bulb moment was, yeah, but the thing that we've got in common is me. So clearly I am putting out something or behaving in a certain way, or actually not really valuing myself enough to say, actually, this is not acceptable for me. I'm not even going to take this past drinks. And it took me having that awareness to go, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. And it was amazing when I shifted that mindset and I got into a state of actually, who do I need to be to attract the kind of partner I want? I met a really great guy and we're getting married shortly. So, but it took that level of self-awareness to notice what was going on. And I think it's difficult. Sometimes you have to be clobbered around the head with it to go, oh, wait.
Oh, the clobbered. I call it the feather bricker truck. Sometimes we just need a Mack truck to come in and knock us over. And then we get a choice. I think it comes down in that moment, in that beautiful example of choice. You had a choice to blame them, or you had a choice of being like, wait, I really do want love. I really do want change. How can I look at this differently? Because a lot of people get stuck in, well, all these guys, you could have easily said just men are jerks and created that belief system and then went on and on about how there's no available men and all of the things, and no shame in that. We are where we are until we want something different. I always tell people say, oh, when is it time for people to work with you? When they really want it. And no shame if you don't. So many people say they want a relationship, but relationships are intimate. Relationships are into me, you see. And if you're scared of someone seeing you and you're scared of being vulnerable and you're scared of someone helping you see things about yourself, because that's what a relationship does. It reflects all of our stuff. So we get to heal together and grow together. Then you're going to resist it and you're going to create a whole bunch of blocks in your life until you're like, you know what, no matter what, I'm so ready. I'm so ready to experience love and everything that comes with it. I know I'm not perfect. It's okay. And then you have a story like yours where I met him, I'm getting married because I said, I want to go forward, even if it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the paradigm I bought into for a long time. Oh, men are jerks. There's no decent guys out there, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's simply not true. I'm an example, and we had a previous podcast episode talking about relationships. There is no perfect relationship, so that's the one thing I think I also had to get to grips with. I'm never going to find the perfect person. I'm going to find somebody who, because I'm not perfect either, and relationships
Right.
take work, and it's yeah. So that's been an interesting journey for me, and I think that's the best example I can give you of me going, oh my God, it's me. It's not
Yes.
everything happening to me. I'm kind of responsible for this. So when I take responsibility for it, I can choose something else. And I think that is the real aha moment with the inner work and with growth work.
It is. I think people, when they go into relationships, they think of what they want or what they're getting. And it's really of how they're going to grow and how they're going to expand and how both people coming together. I've worked with hundreds into the thousands of people, all different parts of the world. I mean, you are in different parts of the world, and we all want the same thing. We all want love. And I've never met a perfect person. I have yet to meet a person that doesn't have a past or challenges or any of it. So it's really just, can I grow with this person? Can I feel safe in this container to expand? Because if you're going into a relationship, it's going to expand you in some way, even if
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work out. Even
Yes.
if it's just some feedback of like, I don't want to be treated like that anymore. What is it that I do want? Those have growth opportunities too. It's we're all in connection to grow.
Yeah.
Even intimate relationships, regular me and you talking, we're all helping one another expand.
Yeah, absolutely. And the work you do when it comes to helping people navigate that emotional pain, and what you said about generally the more emotional pain we have, the more resistance that will show up for us, because they're sort of
Yes.
a yin and yang, aren't they? How do you use energy healing to help people move through that emotional pain so they can then get the aha moments, they can then get the forward positive momentum that we're talking about here?
Yes, over probably, wow, 15, 16 years, I started with emotional freedom technique, EFT, and then went into the body code with Dr. Brad and worked with a whole bunch of people and on myself. And then somewhere in that pandemic, instead of me helping people heal their pain, I wanted to help teach people how to heal their own pain. So I wanted to create a process or learn things from different teachers that I've been to and refine it into a simple step process of, the first thing is, when you're in emotional pain, is to take the judgment off of it. As soon as we take the judgment, I'm here. It's not wrong. Why? Because I'm here. So if I'm sad and I'm not supposed to be sad, well, I am sad. So that has to be where I'm at. So we got to first accept where we're at.
Mm.
And once we're like, okay, this is where I'm at, wherever that is in life, in the moment, is we want to accept it. It's not wrong. That can open the first door of, sometimes just saying that, people saying that will make them cry, will make them finally discharge of, getting that statement out of your mouth of, where I'm at isn't wrong. People will say, I instantly, when you say that, feel angry. Perfect. Where is your body telling you that energy is stored? So we want to find, well, it makes me so mad. My shoulders get tight, my throat, my stomach. Perfect. Go to that place that you feel it when you say, it's not wrong where I'm at. If nothing ever changes from how I am right now, I'm okay.
Mm.
And whoo, some people will get lit on fire of, Jackie, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And it's, where do you feel that in your body? And then I just want you to put your attention around it. So we put our attention behind it, in front of it, above it, below it, and we just observe it. And it can stay as long as it wants. And if you do this without judgment, your body will start to get really warm or hot. It will start to move to a different part of your body, follow it. And then eventually you're going to see that it's going to either release in heat, it's going to release in tears, it's going to release through your face, your hands, something will tingle, because energy loves to move. It's just what you said in the beginning. Something happens, it impacts your body, your energy system. Our nervous system in the moment is it's too big for us to handle. Our nervous system is going to go through an upgrade from this experience. So at first it's too much. So we lock it. Then when the crisis is sort of over, we have a moment to kind of breathe. Then we can visit it and say, okay, I'm just going to feel this in little waves. I'm just going to be with the sadness and stay behind it. and move one layer at a time through for some big events. And then as you keep doing that, and the level of importance you put on it is as fast as it will resolve. So when someone says, you move through things really quickly, yes, but I will take an hour to be with it. I will make it the most important thing in my day if I really want it to change. So time and attention, accept where you're at, feel where it is in your body. If it never changes, you're okay. And then give it the time and attention. And so when that heat or the tears or whatever it is that moves through you and you feel so light, you can see people's color in their face change. It's my favorite part of what I do. And they'll get the aha, you know what, Jackie? And then they'll tell me what the wisdom is. Or if they don't get the wisdom and sometimes they just feel lighter and better. I had somebody, we'll talk about relationships. I had somebody that was single and we were doing this over the pain of past relationships. And she got to a place of like, you're right. If I never get another relationship, I'm okay. I am. And she met someone that night at 7:00 and messaged me. So sometimes the answer will come in. Sometimes the thing will be resolved. The woman that couldn't get pregnant, that was so mad at herself for not being able to have a baby. Once she accepts it, it's okay. It's not wrong. Feels all the emotions. She gets pregnant. It's really going through that cycle of judgment, of resistance, and allowing ourselves to be human and allowing pain not to be wrong. It's a guidance system. It wants to show us something that we're not currently seeing.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying with that, because I think as we said at the beginning, it's tempting to run away from it because we're frightened we won't be able to cope with it. And actually, if you have a look back over the course of your life and you really write down all of the things you've come through, chances are you're actually perfectly capable and you've navigated lots and lots of things and you're still here. We forget actually how capable we are. But I think sometimes the fear of being in experiencing difficult emotions, like we've said, it keeps us stuck and we undervalue ourselves. And I think it saps confidence as well. So it's really, I like what you've shared about just getting to a stage of accepting, all right, this happened and I'm really, really angry. And I'm going to take myself off somewhere and I'm going to sit with being really angry. You've talked about EFT tapping is so great. I love that for if I'm stuck. If I get stuck in anything, it's probably a bit of anxiety about things. So I love using EFT just to tap through that, because otherwise I can get very caught in a ruminating thought loop, and then I'm like irritated with myself. You should know better, but it's just easier to just allow it to go, okay, I'm feeling anxious and I'm just going to sit with it and let it move, let it out, because I don't really want to have my day ruined by it. Because that's the trouble when we hold on to these feelings as well, is they tend to dominate life and we don't operate from a particularly good space when we're anxious or afraid or angry or sad. I think it diminishes our decision-making abilities, which then impact life negatively.
Yes. A few things on that. One is, I love working with anxiety. Anxiety was sort of the root of why I started personal development the route down it, and started to learn, because I had judgment on, I shouldn't be anxious. Why do I have anxiety? Anxiety is wrong. And the only thing anxiety really needs to build and to get bigger is judging it, is resisting it, is saying I shouldn't be anxious right now. Well, you are anxious right now. So instead of resisting it and trying to not be anxious because anxiety is bad, why don't we open the door and ask anxiety why it's here? Mm-hmm. What do you want me to see? What do you want me to know? Where do you feel it in your body? And it's the resistance of, I just want to cry. Yeah. Great. I'm not a really big crier in life, and anxiety, if I'm feeling anxious and I sit with it, I'll notice, wow, I really feel like crying, because I don't give myself permission in the moment. I'm really strong. Mindset can be really fast. Usually the toughest people are the ones that have anxiety, I've been noticing, because we're so super strong. We're like, I just got to hold it all together. And then anxiety's like, but wait, your suitcase is full. I'm going to hammer you with this anxiety feeling until you sit down, you feel it, you have a good cry, get that energy out and get back to life. You mentioned something about our challenges and that we're able to handle them looking back. And one of my favorite things was, and this is more spiritual and for whatever people believe in, but if God brought you to it, he can bring you through it. And so we're not really given challenges that are too big. That's why people say, I want to go from where I'm at now to a millionaire. It's like, well, that's a couple upgrades in your system. Let's start with, that's why there's a big crash sometimes when something too big comes into your life where you manifest something too big. And just know that each challenge is sort of the next thing that's making you stronger. And it's giving you another piece and another piece to get to that ultimate version you want to be at. So one more thing that I wanted to share on the if you are anxious, if someone's listening to this and it's like, wow, I've been anxious for 10 years and it's affected my life and my kids. And now I feel bad because I'm anxious for these 2 days. That's one of the things that'll create shame in our body and block our light. When the truth is, I've created extraordinary things in my life from times of being anxious. So it's like, yes, I didn't probably do that from a well-resourced place in that moment, is what I like to call it. It's like, well, I wasn't at my full resourceful self that day. But what were the benefits of not being my full resourceful self that day? What are the drawbacks of being calm? Sometimes the most neurotic, high energy people create magic. They're artists. And maybe calm wouldn't create what they created. So wherever you're at, if you're having an anxious day, it's fine. It's perfect. It's serving you, serving your kids, serving people. We're just judging it because we think calm is better.
Yeah, I think it's just so many good points here. And what just wanted to re-mention that you said is this piece of asking the feeling, what are you trying to show me? How are you serving me? Because it'll, like you said, it'll be there showing you something. Anger, I think, often comes up, especially if we're triggered by somebody else. It might be that we don't like the way someone's spoken to us. And actually, then it's an opportunity to say, hang on a minute, I'm feeling really angry about this, and I need to say something. Or I need to approach this in a different way. I'm not just going to sit here and take this. I've been looking at imposter syndrome from a different angle. I'm alongside my coaching, I'm a photographer, I'm a creative. I've lived with imposter syndrome for 20 years. And it's not always been a bad thing, because I think sometimes that imposter has been a real driving force for me to be better, do more, do something bigger. It has to be managed, of course, because otherwise it can just keep you in a cycle of constantly striving. So one has to work with it appropriately. It needs to be managed. But these feelings aren't always bad. Like anxiety, what is it telling you? Maybe there's a situation that you're actually really not comfortable being in, and you need to move, and you need to then make a change. I think this is where what we talked about is using these difficult emotions, the painful emotions, to steer us in the direction that we really want to be going in. And they're little signposts. And if you can reframe it and look at them like that, they become less terrifying.
Yes, then it's just anxiety now is welcomed. It doesn't feel good still, but I know, okay, you're here. There's something I'm avoiding being with. That's my personal one. The anxiety sometimes is, and I see this a lot with women or younger females, and they'll be nice to everybody. And, oh, I'm just going to still smile, even though that doesn't feel good. Well, guess what? Your body doesn't like that. And if you don't take action and remove yourself from that, your body's going to give you a symptom that forces you. So to me, anxiety or any emotion is like the doorbell ringing and someone has a package for you. And we can either judge the package that it comes in, which is the event or emotions, or we can open it and say, hey, what are you trying to show me? When you go over there and those girls really don't like you and you feel like they're talking about you, but you really want to be included anyway, there's a drawback to that. Your body's like, get me the heck out of here. I don't like that. And then you have a choice. What we talk about is then you can either numb it and you can drink, or you can do whatever it is, the thing that's going to shut that off. Or you can say, you know what, it's going to suck not going to that party, but I'm not going to go, and I'm going to honor myself and find my people and find my tribe.
Yeah.
And then when you're around other people that are more congruent or aligned with you, you're like, wow, I'm not anxious in this situation. I don't have any anxiety when I hang out with these people. That's interesting. My body was just showing me. One of the things that you said about the imposter syndrome is exactly it. I just reframe it a little bit of like, I've chose the imposter syndrome for 20 years. So you're not stuck in it. It's not solid. It's just something I've been doing for 20 years. Why? Because there's a huge benefit, because it keeps me humble. And because it keeps me humble, I produce extraordinary work. Had I not had the imposter syndrome, I probably would have been like, I'm so great and arrogant. And then when you're so arrogant, life needs to humble you. So then your work depreciates. So getting just to see imposter syndrome is not wrong. Sometimes I do it, but then sometimes I also acknowledge that I'm terrific and that I'm great and that I am a leader and that my art is great.
Yeah.
And you'll have this beautiful dance, and the dance kind of keeps you, I think, balanced. I think everyone, if we only were perfect all the time, we would get really arrogant and we wouldn't relate to anybody. So I
No,
think the
no. And I think we also probably wouldn't go for more of what we want either. I think, but I think it's a fine balance, isn't it?
dance.
It's a dance. It is.
Just accepting where we're at. Life is perfect. If we're in imposter syndrome today, just trust that's where we're supposed to be today. If we're in like feeling amazing today, trust and enjoy, because some people block their joy.
Yeah.
Enjoy the empowerment you feel today, because there's going to be a dip at some point. So you might as well enjoy, like, I feel on my game today, and allow yourself to be in that. It's really perfect where we're at. It's just our minds want to stay busy and in business and try and judge ourselves. Maybe for something to do. I'm not sure.
Yes, I think our minds like to be I know mine likes to have something to worry about, and that's been a
Yes.
big source of my inner work that I've been doing, and a big piece of my own personal development work is noticing, I seem to have an ability to want to have something to worry about. What the hell is that about? I mean, it's
Yes.
so that's what I'm as part of my journey in this lifetime is learning to manage it, and just noticing and going, I notice I am having a thought that I want to be worrying about something. And actually my mantra for that is I'll sit with it and go, okay, this is a bit unpleasant, but life always works out in my favor. And it tends to calm the worry when it's, when I tell it that. So it's, but again, we all have these little crosses to bear, I think, of all the work that we have personally to do in life. And that's what makes it interesting, I suppose.
Yes, it's just your next growth opportunity. I always tell people, that say, "Oh, you're so masterful at this." I still have growth opportunities.
Always.
I'm still growing. I'm going into the next thing and the next thing. And now it's about visibility and sharing, and then I'll grow through that. And so we can use the process quickly with that. Was I'm always worrying about something. The
Yeah.
first thing we'll do to center you is it's not wrong. Worrying about something in my mind being this chaotic isn't wrong. It's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Then we take the judgment off of it. I worry about stuff. That's interesting. And then you did it, and we can ask and leave space. So you asked, I don't know, why is that? And so what I do with people in containers of space is we just take 20 minutes and you ask that question. Interesting, mind. Why is it that you feel like you have to worry all the time? And then just create that space for the answer to come right into you. It will tell you. If you're not judging it, the answer comes so quickly.
Yeah.
It's like, well, my picture of my dad will come up and he says, don't get too ahead of yourself because life will knock you down. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. I worry about things all the time because I valued what my dad told me. Don't do that, or you'll get hurt. And it's like, do I want that now? It's not that dad was wrong. Thank you for sharing me and keeping me safe. I'm a mom. You want to keep your kids safe. But now you get to choose, you know what? Even if I get knocked down, Dad, what you said, I'm going to get back up. Life's going to be there for me. And so then that worrying will become a little less.
Yeah.
So it's finding those, and it's just asking a question and allowing the answer.
That's it.
Sometimes that's difficult.
That's it. And I think the more you work this process, the easier it gets, because you go, I noticed that thought's come up again. Let's just process that. And I think I know my journey. I mean, it's been, 8 years of personal development work. It's gone from probably being taken out by worrying to I can sort of deal with it in half an hour. It's that, but that's the process of the kind of
Yes.
confidence building of doing it, it works, doing it, it works, soothing it, it works, sitting with it. And it takes it, it takes work. That's, well, unfortunately,
Yes.
that's why it's called inner work.
Yes. The little sprinkle I would offer you is just take the judgment off of it being wrong now.
Yeah, that's it.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
Oh, I'm worrying again. That's interesting. It neutralizes it, and it puts your energy in an alignment where now we have choices because we're hard on ourselves. And so many people, especially people that are drawn to me, usually are type A, hard on themselves, hard workers, go-getters, and they're beating themselves up. Oh, I'm doing it again. Great. You noticed it. It's not wrong. It is wrong that I'm doing that again. No, it's not. If it's wrong, it can't heal. And they're like, Jackie, how can I accept this? Well, if you want to heal it, the first thing you got to do is accept it.
Yeah.
We're all crazy. Can it be okay?
Sure.
Can it be okay? And then it heals, though. That's the thing that's magic. As soon as it's okay,
yeah,
it changes.
Yeah, that's it. It's giving ourselves permission to feel what's going on, permission to not have everything together all the time, and permission to take the time out to do the inner work, to be able to process through stuff. And that takes great courage. So it is, and like we've said, it's a process, but it's one that's well worth doing. So this has been a really great conversation, Jackie. I've really enjoyed it. It's
Me too.
Gone in all sorts of different directions, but welcome to my world. How can people find you online, Jackie?
Yes. My website and Instagram are probably the most popular places. So JackieSenatore.com. And I have a whole bunch of different ways that people work with me in different kind of levels. And really, it's just a practice, helping people do this on repetition and getting it in their bodies. And it's actually quite quick that people start to implement this and see changes in their life. So that's the fun part of doing that.
Yeah, amazing. And I don't know who wouldn't want a quick shift when it comes to this kind of stuff, because it's really, I mean, it's life-changing when you start to get a handle on this. I believe you have a freebie for the listeners. Could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, and you just said it right there in that part of who doesn't want a quick shift. So I called it the energy shifter. So you can go to JackieSenatore.com, and there's a free energy shifter there. It's a 15-minute experience of just starting to realize that you are an energetic being, and how to shift when you're in a state that is less resourced. So not bad, just less resourced. I've often used it for myself. I'm like, I feel stuck in this emotion. And I will guide you through it just to get some wisdom in it.
Amazing. I'll put all the links in the show notes, folks, so you can find Jackie's website, Instagram, and her energy shifting freebie. Thank you for being with me here today, Jackie. It's been really great. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure. It's so great to meet people like you, and we're all on this kind of growth path. So
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, folks. I'll be back with another guest episode next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, please share with your friends, and be sure to leave me a 5-star rating and review, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. To find out more about my one-on-one coaching, please visit my website, which is emmaobriencoach.com. And remember, folks, when life gives you lemons, you can always choose another fruit. See you next time.